Today I'm going to be playing for you a blues bass line, and I'm going to play through it 2 choruses of a blues in F, key of F, and then I'm going to break it down and by rules. I'm going to show you the rules. These come directly from my book, the rules to create a good walking bass line. So here we go with blues in F. Okay, I'm going to play it one more time so you can see the bass line a little more clearly. I'm going to slow it down for you. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to break it down and give you the rules for playing a good bass line. But before I do that, I want to just talk about that one little thing I do in there, which sounds like a grace note, and that's really what it is. So I go, I'm doing that, adding that in, I'm putting that in. It usually comes from the 5th. It could come from somewhere else, but I like that. It's a little grace note. What it does, it tends to accent the offbeat. Like that. Accents the 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2. Gives it a little push. That little grace note in there. Okay, we're going to take a close look at what I played in the left hand, the walking bass line. We're going to start with rule number 1. So the first rule is scale-wise motion, either from above or below. So that means either descending or ascending. Now the first line that I played was an example of this. Bass line went like this. Okay, now that was stepwise descending. If I went ascending, it would be like that. So now what has to happen is it has to fit the chord. So it's the scale of the chord. And since it's an F7, I'm going to need that E flat in there. Now when I go to the B flat 7, I got to put the A flat in there because that's in the B flat 7 scale. So same thing. If I'm ascending on a B flat scale, I go, or an F. So that's scale-wise. That's rule number 1. Okay, rule number 2 is chromatic movement from below or above. So that'd be approaching a note chromatically like this, or like. Now I use that on the turnaround a lot, so I did something like this. Okay, so that would be approaching chromatically from above. Then if I went like this, that'd be approaching chromatically from below. That would be approaching chromatically. So it's a half step movement to the target note. So this is an A to a D, A minor to a D, G minor to a C to an F would be. So that's an important one. You'll use that a lot, and I use this specifically on the turnaround, which I'll find here in a minute. I used it like this. Like there. So that's chromatic from below or above to the chord. Okay, rule number 3 is octaves and fifths. So an example would be, say I did this, either this would be the octave, this would be the fifth. I can combine them in any way I like. These can be moving octaves like that, or ascending like that. And then the fifth in there is a way to change your position like this. For example, root, fifth, octave, then approach tone like that, and then repeat it, then approach tone. So there's a maneuver like. That's a good one to use to change your position, and that's one that you don't have to think so much about the chromatic line or the stepwise movement. This is kind of becomes automatic for pianists to do this. So that's octaves and fifths. Rule number 4 is double notes, and that's where you double the note, the bass note. Say if I had like something like I wanted to go chromatic, like in the chords, I could do a double note like. So it's just repeating the same note. Now that strengthens the bass, the sense of the chord, because you're staying on it rather than going up to the fifth. You're like this. Might do it when you're approaching chromatically like that. So that's called double notes. Rule number 5 is the last one. It's called interval skips. Example would be if, like, say you went up a fifth and then a whole step and then down a fourth, then up maybe a minor third, then up a whole step down an octave, that type of thing. I used it in the blues when I had that sort of complicated line that went F to E, and then to F, then to B. So that there, from the F to the B is an interval skip, then here, down a fifth, and then a whole step, and then up a third. See, so that up a third, that's interval skip. Here I go up a fourth. So it's a skip of an interval. It could be a third, a minor third, any interval you want. It's just not stepwise. Okay, so that's the last rule, interval skips. Now you have these 5 different ways a bass line can move. You can use them in a variety of ways. Mix them up is good. And to have, you know, combinations of stepwise and chromatic, and then roots and fifths and octaves and so on. But the important thing is that you support the chord with either having the root or the third or the fifth in there. So like in the first example, and you want to follow along if you have the downloaded music, you want to follow this bass line. It's moving stepwise to the root, down stepwise to the root. So that's the way it's written. It was just supporting the roots, but it also could move to the third. Like you could go like this to the third there, and then go down to the root there, and then go down to the root there. Or it could go like this to the third, and then down to the third, and then the root. So eventually want to get the root in there. Now it depends. If you have 2 chords per measure, then you pretty much want to probably have the root be there, like in this passage here from the F7 to the D7, and then the G minor. See, that's 2 chords in the measure, so you have it just descend down to the D7, and then up here, and then connect to the G minor on the next measure, and then C7 there. See, so you want to follow the music along that I've provided for you to download and see how the bass line connects with either the root, the third, or the fifth of the chord. Whoa, how did this guy get here? Well, it's a good thing because we want to make sure our time is solid. And so we're going to use the metronome on 2 and 4, so we keep good time. And this time I'm going to improvise a bass line. That's what you want to work towards, is you begin to improvise a bass line and not think about it so much, so you can concentrate on the right doing more, like comping, varied comping, and also adding some melodic ideas. So we're going to do that now with the metronome set on 2 and 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I just want to wrap this up now by saying that it's a lot of fun to play a bass line like this, a walking bass line, walking on a blues. There's a variety of different bass lines that you can learn, and I might do future videos on those, such as a 2-beat bass line, or a Latin bass line, or a funk bass line, or a 3/4, or a variety of things like that. But this is one type of bass line that's really fun to play, and you can support a singer or a horn player. You know, particularly if you don't have a bass player, this is really good to learn. And so I hope you enjoyed this, and you'll check out my book, which has a lot more detail on bass lines. And I'll see you on the next time around. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.